Hello, and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name is Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmert, and we are here on video again. If you're listening and not watching, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Don't cuss!
Oh, Tim, why not? What's wrong with cussing?
It's
not right.
It's not the way of the world.
We are here, we've done a few. Okay, if you're listening to this and not watching, get over to YouTube and you can watch this. You can watch us reviewing, right, Tim? Like, look, Tim's wearing red.
Wear your florals, grab your friends.
Your florals. No, we're still kind of adjusting to how to talk to each other in front of a video. Like when we're doing interviews, it's easy because we're talking to the person, but now we have to talk to each other and be on camera. It's too much stress.
I'm so stressed out just hearing you.
And look, we never know what colors are. We've been told black and red and blue look the best. So Tim's wearing red.
For Valentine's Day.
I'm wearing black and look, Killer Clowns, Tim. Do you like that movie?
Yeah, it's good. It stars Suzanne Schneider.
Schneider. Suzanne, I thought you were Suzanne.
She was on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Suzanne Summers, right? She was great. Oh my God, I forgot she passed away.
Matt, get with it.
Get with it. So Tim, because, this episode where we're reviewing Heart Eyes is coming out right after Valentine's Day, but we happen to be recording it just a little bit before Valentine's Day. So my big question to you, Tim, is what are your plans for Valentine's Day?
My Valentine's Day consists, sometimes I walk dogs and I dog sit or cat sit, and I will be cat sitting a 18-year-old cat.
Oh my God, that's so romantic. Wait, but do you ever say, sometimes I run?
No, because I'm not Britney Spears, but I do like Britney Spears.
Wait, so your cat's sitting an 18-year-old cat?
I was asked to watch a 18-year-old cat.
So you'll be sitting at home with a cat?
Not my house. I'm actually not like full-blown allergic, but I do sniffle a little bit.
Actually, yeah. So Tim's allergic, and we have a cat.
I mean, I've never been diagnosed. Like a doctor said, you're allergic.
Well, we have a cat, and I do try to lint brush our couch before you come over because so that Tim, I have seen you get like sniffly and red.
Yeah, I mean, your house is actually pretty good.
You're damn right.
And nothing against your cat when I say this, but other cats are a lot warmer to me. Your cat is not warm.
Okay, let me just set the record straight.
I do not like your cat.
Our cat is sweet as hell. This is what Tim does when Tim gets near a cat because he can't like pick it up and be sweet like other people. So he goes
cat.
Look.
No one picks up your cat.
And for people listening, he just puts his finger in the cat's face. Now, if you put your finger in my face, I'd be pissed too.
Well, listen, talking about cats to me is like talking about the weather.
Okay, so Tim, tell me about that sports team.
Oh, okay. Go Bucks. God, they did such a good season. They had such a good season.
Wait, so do you want to know what Jacob and I are doing for Valentine's Day?
Oh, yes, Matt. What are you and Jacob doing for Valentine's Day?
Oh, well, that's so nice of you to ask. No, we have no plans.
Oh, is that true?
I mean, we, Valentine's Day, number one, it's overrated. Number two, and I hate to be one of those, Valentine's Day people, but I just mean, why do we have to go out and do something on that exact day? Can't we do that any day?
People say it's like amateur night as far as love goes.
I think if you're first dating or if you're very new in a relationship, Valentine's Day is very exciting. And it is a special day. When you've been with someone for a number of years, the special days are birthdays and anniversaries.
Right. Well, if you're a single person, your birthdays is all you have. Well, didn't you see that Sex and the City episode where Carrie sends out someone steals her shoes at a party because she's told to take off her shoes? It's my favorite Sex and the City episode. I'm sure I've talked about this, but remember she sends out because she's like, I lost my shoes at this party, so I'm going to try to get my money back by sending this person because they have baby showers, weddings.
Oh yeah,
so you get them lots of gifts. So she's like, hey, I'm marrying myself. And it's Tatum O'Neal, of Ryan O'Neal's daughter. Yeah. It's a good episode. She's a guest star.
Wait, so Sarah Jessica Parker. Okay, so in all fairness, I have not watched the entire Sex and the City series. I've seen the movies and I know the characters very well. And I know that's very you would probably think I'd like it. But wait, so she does a wedding to herself just to get gifts?
Yeah, she sends it to the girl that made her take off her shoes and her shoes were stolen. So she's like, okay, how much for the shoes? And she's like, they're I want to say like $400. And she goes, Carrie, they're just shoes.
I feel like that's coming back to me, but
it's my favorite episode.
But do you like the episode where what's her name falls out the window?
That's a good one too.
Wait, what's the actress's name?
I know she's from something. She dated Ryan Reynolds for a hot minute. She was in 30 Rock from the Sun.
Yes, she was. You mean Third Rock from the Sun?
What did I say? 30 Rock?
I don't think there's 30 Rock.
Right.
And there's Third Rock from the Sun.
That's what I meant. Okay, so she's in something Johnston. Something Johnson.
Oh, Sandy? No.
Sandy Johnson.
Wait, you basically combined Tina Fey's show 30 Rock with Third Rock from the Sun, which starred a very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt from Halloween H2O, Tim.
Right. It's all connected to Michael Myers.
It's all over.
It's all...
So yeah, we don't have plans, but I will say for Valentine's Day, we do love watching My Bloody Valentine and the remake. And if you are not a patron and want to hear us discussing Valentine, that's one of the movies that we are discussing in one of our bonus episodes, which comes out at the end of the month. So go to patreon.com/happy horror time.
Wow, you sold that so naturally.
Did it seem natural? Okay, watch. Yeah. And because in our bonus episodes, we talk about past films, and we already talked about My Bloody Valentine. Remember, that was like one of our first ones. We compared the original to the remake.
Wow. No, I vaguely remember. I mean, I love both films. I love them.
I love both of those. So all the Valentine's Day films, there's now My Bloody Valentine, the remake, Valentine, X-Ray. Remember X-Ray?
X-Ray's very underrated.
So if you have not seen X-Ray, now I feel like we're just talking about Valentine's Day films, but X-Ray was also called Hospital Massacre, which has nothing to do with Valentine's Day, but it takes place on Valentine's Day.
In 1982.
And that woman, it's very odd because they have so many scenes lingering on her naked body.
She was a Playboy bunny, and so they were really just like, hey, we got a hot woman that's willing to take her clothes off. Because it was the 80s. There was no Google.
Call it X-Ray. She gets stuck in a hospital. It's Valentine's Day, which that would suck to be in a hospital.
I mean, no one likes, I personally don't like being in any hospital.
On any day. Let alone Valentine's Day. And they really want, I get it that she's a Playboy model because the shots that linger on her naked body is just so obvious they just wanted to show her.
It's clearly made by a dirty old man. I said it.
A dirty old man. Wait, Tim, are you a dirty old man now?
I hope not. I hope not.
Wait, am I forgetting any other big Valentine's Day specific horror movies? There's always lovers. The one we're talking about today, Hard Eyes. Look. By the way, you already said this, but tell everyone when you realized that Hard Eyes was an emoji.
Oh gosh, it took me a while. I was like, I looked at the emojis and I was like, oh, this one has heart eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie's named after an emoji.
Did you don't use that emoji?
No, this is my favorite emoji. It's like this one. It's but apparently it means it's a hug, but I always thought it was hello.
See, I thought it was excitement. Oh my God, you're here.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I use that one constantly.
I use the heart eyes emoji to
send to Jacob.
No, I send just the heart to him, but heart eyes I use if something's really cute. At work, we have this pets channel and we all post about our pets, and every time they do it, I use the heart eyes.
Do you overanalyze when you heart something to someone because you're it doesn't mean I love you. It means I love what you're telling me.
That's what I always thought it meant.
Because
doesn't mean I love you.
I always thought you loved me.
Well, I do, but I'm talking about text messages when you heart it. That's so funny that you're thinking so into
I overanalyze it because, that's, as a single person, you overanalyze all text messages.
That's true.
Not for you.
For dating. What do you think when I text you?
Not much.
I was thinking when you text. So Tim and I were just like on the podcast, as you can tell, I'm very long-winded, big surprise, and Tim on text message is very short.
I'm not that bad. I'm not one of those garbage people that just write K.
No, he's not an asshole about it, but he's very short, and I'm hey, let me tell you about my whole life. So we're very different on text messages, but
you have really good texting skills, whereas I think you use the word for my writing skills, atrocious.
I did use that word because this is so funny. Okay, so part of my job, I'm a writer at an ad agency, and part of it is, proofing stuff also. So I'm my brain is tuned to look for little errors. And I know for most people that's annoying, but that's what I have to do.
As a friend, I am full of errors.
Now, but by no means do I edit or proof Tim's messages. Make that clear. I don't say your grammar's off. But Tim was asking me to write an email, or he was needed to write an email for something, and he asked for my help. And I looked at his first draft, and I was like, "That is atrocious."
No, I know.
And
it's
was
okay.
it?
No, it was. It was horrible. But I just don't. It doesn't. Like, listen, I walk dogs. Like, you know how many emails I write in a year?
One.
Maybe 10.
But the funniest thing is Tim has this weird thing with spacing. I've never seen it before. He'll leave spaces between the end of a word and like the punctuation, like a period, and he'll like indent things for no reason. It's so bizarre. Now, luckily, I'm not OCD, or I'd probably kill myself.
Well, I mean, it's okay that you are.
But I recognize it, and I just laugh. I'm like, oh, it's a good old message from Tim. Weird spaces for no fucking reason.
I'm getting better.
Oh, grammar. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about Hard Eyes, because this is a very close to Valentine's Day. Hard Eyes is going to be a new Valentine's Day slasher.
Right off the bat, one sentence to... Okay, so I'm going to give you my sentence first.
To describe what you thought?
I loved it. There you go.
Oh, wow. I would say, okay, it's an entertaining horror comedy. Sorry, it's an entertaining mix of a rom-com and slasher film playing off all the familiar tropes. What do you think?
That was a really good sentence, long-winded.
Tim, I loved it.
I loved it.
Thank you, everyone. There's our review.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Look, we went into this knowing what to expect in terms of that it was going to have a lot of horror comedy to it, and it was going to be very well written, because it was written by, there were three writers actually. Christopher Landon and Michael Kennedy wrote it, along with someone named Philip Murphy, who I had not heard of before.
No, I know Chris Landon. I mean, not personally, but
yeah, you do.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, Tim." I was like, "Hey, Chris."
And Michael Kennedy, we had on the podcast before. So, but the reason why we're so familiar with their writing is because they wrote Freaky together, and then Michael Kennedy wrote It's a Wonderful Knife, and Christopher Landon has worked on Happy Death Day and a lot of Paranormal Activity sequels.
Did he work on the sequel, Happy Death Day 2?
Yeah, he directed and wrote it.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay.
So what they captured so well in Freaky was like that fine line between horror and comedy, where it's funny and scary, and it works, because not a lot of people can do that. So going into this movie, I knew it was going to be fun, and a fun horror movie for us is something we can continue watching a lot, which we always talk about.
Like Jason Lives?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I read an article that the director of this movie is Josh Rubin. Now, Josh Rubin has done, we weren't that familiar with this stuff, but he did a movie called Scare Me and Werewolves Within. So he's done horror comedy type stuff, and he directed this. And I read an article, and I knew that you would love this.
I love this already.
He said that his biggest influence for Hard Eyes was Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, because of that perfect balance of horror and comedy. And Tim, do you feel honored hearing that?
Yes, because Friday the 13th is the best series in the world.
Debatable. But I felt really happy about that, because we had Tommy McLaughlin on the podcast, and he's such a cool guy. We've also seen him at the movies randomly, and he comes up and like talks to us.
I know. And I said, "Do you know who you are?" I was like, "Cause we're like nobody."
That's what Tim said, and the guy's like, "Ooh,"
and he goes, "Oh,
but
goodbye."
No,
we talked to him about very specific episodes of Friday the 13th, the TV series. It was a really good interview. Check it out.
Yes, Tommy McLaughlin. But so because Josh Rubin said this, and I actually think this movie really captured that. Okay, when you watch Jason Lives, you're probably like, well, this is like a shift in the Friday the 13th series,
right?
But
especially
it's a good
following
shift.
after part 5, because part 5 was it's serious.
Like sleazy.
It's sleazily serious.
Say that 5 times fast. Go. Sleazily serious. And part 6 was such like a refreshing new take on it, and it had this was like before Scream. It was comedy. It was horror. Remember Tom McLaughlin told us, he said he wanted the kills to be so over the top that nobody would try. Like, you couldn't blame a real killer. Sorry, let me try that again.
These kills you couldn't really do.
Yes, meaning like a real killer couldn't say, "Oh, I tried to mimic the kills from part 6."
Right, like you weren't going to take Darcy DeMoss's head and put it through a trailer
all the time. What are you doing back there? Taking a dump? Great line. Friday the 13th, part 6. Anyway, Josh Rubin said this in an article, and I thought not only was it so cool that he brought up part 6, because horror people like us are like, oh my God, it's so cool. Tom McLaughlin reshared it on his social media, was like, thank you, Josh Rubin. Because, Tom McLaughlin, and it's no offense to him, but he hasn't made a horror movie recently, or at least one that I know of. So it's cool because it almost brings a relevance to his movie from the 80s again in 2025. And I think that's really awesome that like he gave Tom McLaughlin a shout out. That's what I'm trying to say.
He's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, Hard Eyes, horror comedy. Yes, we loved it. Opening scene of Hard Eyes was fucking hilarious.
The tone of the very first, I'm going to give this, we're giving the whole thing away.
It's about a killer.
It's about a killer. No, the tone of the first victims, the first kills of this film, it almost was borderline scary movie. Like at first I was like, this might just be just a tip over the top, but I didn't mind because I loved the girl's sweater.
Well, so, and I actually really agree with what you're saying and actually know what you're saying because there were parts, and we'll get to it later, but there were parts where the ridiculousness was cranked just to like the top of like it almost becoming spoof, but again, teetering at that level, meaning it didn't quite go over for me. I think for some people, they're like, oh, this is too ridiculous. I don't think it was. I think it was funny. But the opening scene, it's a couple that the guy is proposing to the girl in a winery, and she has like literally produced it, created it for him.
Was she knew about the photographer in the woods?
Yes, and she was mouthing the words of the proposal that literally she had told him to do. And the whole thing is they wanted to get it on camera. And I thought that was so well written because we know, first off, how many people produce their engagements and like gender reveal parties.
I think it's kind of the worst part of humanity. I mean, like, because it's
meant not murder.
No, I mean, no, murder's pretty terrible. But when you're alive, these are horrible things as well. Like her producing it, him being like, actually, I thought the guy was okay.
But he was doing everything they're at a winery.
It was a controlling relationship.
It's first off, the music that's playing is Lone Star's Amazed. You know, the Baby I'm Amazed, but perfect song.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, well, you should be. And she is wanted to set up the perfect engagement. They have a cameraman, but luckily we then see, to break from the ridiculousness, we see the Hard Eyes killer watching them. And then we get like perfect opening scene kills. He kills the cameraman. Remember how it was like an arrow through his head?
Was it an arrow? Or I thought it was a machete through the camera.
Oh, it could have been. It was fast.
It was really quick, but it was some kind of sharp object and no one could survive that.
And yes, you're right. Sorry, I'm getting it mistaken with he shoots an arrow through the guy's head.
Yes, and that was it reminded me of Friday the 13th, 2009 when like he's driving the boat. Yes. And who was that guy that
the guy from
he's totally popular.
Yes, blonde surfer guy.
Yes.
He's in Veronica Mars. I can't think of his name. You should have.
I am really busy.
Great show. Anyway, yes, I get your reference. So it's down to the girl. She's running away. She even gets a call. Like, it is so funny. She basically is pissed that this killer has messed up her engagement. Like, she doesn't even care. She literally, her fiance's dead. Cameraman's dead. She's running through a winery. She finally hides in, I didn't even know what this was until this movie. I think it's a machine that squeezes grapes together. Yeah,
squeezes grapes. I thought that was so clever.
It is. And what ends up happening to her, Tim?
She did. No, she gets squished.
But it is.
It's like guts. Well, they actually have like a close-up of her face and then it gets smashed.
And it literally explodes on the screen. And that's like the opening scene. Now, is it Scream with the opening scene? No, it's not scary at all, but it's hilarious. Like, we were like laughing out loud funny because, like Tim said, these people
you just said laughing out funny.
Laughing out loud funny. Laughing out loud funny. And you know how, like Tim said, these people who everything is done for social media, like everyone, you who's watching, you know someone who would do this.
Like Bailey on The Current Bachelor.
Who? Bailey?
Bailey.
Oh my God.
She made the Bachelor wear a wig.
That good memory.
But that's, my brain is always thinking like a Bachelor because I'm a Bachelor.
We're watching The Bachelor and one of the girls.
This is a very timely thing to talk about.
One of the girls, her name's Bailey. She's like a social media manager.
Yeah. She's like, put on this wig to The Bachelor. And he's like, okay. And then
she starts taking selfies with him. And
which I didn't know on The Bachelor you're allowed to have your phone.
I think it was a phone. I don't think it was her phone. But anyway, so opening scene, hilarious. And then we switch to, they introduce us to our main character, which is Olivia Holt. She's playing this girl named Allie.
And I love her so much because she was in the Totally Killer movie on Prime.
It came out on Amazon in 2023, and she played the mom.
Younger version of Julie Bowen from Modern Family.
She was the younger version of Mom, and she played it so well. Now, I know she's been in other stuff, but right away I was excited about her because I knew her from Totally Killer.
She's really gorgeous.
She's
really gorgeous.
We also, our main guy is Mason Gooding, who, of course, you know from Scream 5 and Scream 6. He's really
gorgeous, too.
They're both so gorgeous. Like, they're too gorgeous. But Allie...
Is there such a thing as too gorgeous?
Tim, you're like...
I mean, because I got my hair cut.
By the way, Tim.
Let me just say, when a gay man or anyone gets a haircut for 2 weeks, I think they think they're the most powerful people in the world.
Tim, are you the most powerful person in the world?
Currently, but talk to me in 2 weeks when my hair turns to shaggy dog.
By the way, I need a haircut, but
your hair looks great.
You know what I'm trying to get to a point of? We're going to be doing these episodes all the time. Mm-hmm. If I care that I look incredible for every episode, we're not going to be able to do many.
We're in trouble, right? I'm already starving myself.
He is. He didn't need...
So not try. I had a chicken piccata.
He didn't need his 7th meal today. Anyway, okay. So Allie is... Now, I get to talk about my job. Tim always talks about WB because I related to them because they're in advertising. Allie apparently did a campaign for this jewelry company that was so tone deaf. It was for Valentine's Day, and it's about famous couples that have gotten killed right as the news is broadcasting that the Hard Eyes killer has killed yet again and is going from city to city killing couples. And her boss, who's played by, who was that?
Oh, she's really funny. She did one...
Michaela Watkins.
She did one season on SNL. I mean, it was a character choice. They didn't bring her down. Like, she had like a Southern accent, right? She talked like this.
Did I get to?
She talked like this, and she goes, that was very interesting.
I don't remember.
It was a big character. She only did one. I think she was on one season of SNL, and I could be completely wrong, but I think she was but I thought she was funny, and you've seen her guest spots all over.
Totally recognize her face. She plays the boss, and basically she is scolding Allie for this really tone deaf campaign. And it was like literally it's Rose and Jack from Titanic, dead. Bonnie and Clyde, dead. Romeo and Juliet,
dead.
And there's a killer killing couples. And she's like, what were you thinking? And they go through like the social media comments, and they're like, it's just really funny.
Well,
it's
because
so relevant.
That's very like...
2025.
Yeah, very like what internet
cancel
trolls.
Culture.
Yes, there's a like because like
let's throw a few more words out there.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds. Blake Lively. Justin Baldoni.
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. Oh, that's like 2023.
But still, we all know it.
Okay. Anyway, so Allie has fucked up this campaign, and who do they bring in to help her? But they bring in Mason Gooding, who's Jay, who's a freelancer, but. They've already met because
it was a meet cute.
They had a meet cute at a coffee shop where they just happened to order the same drink and grab it at the same time.
Oh, that was really funny because then the barista, is that what it's called?
Barista, yes.
Thank you for correcting me.
I mean, you said it right. You just really accented it.
Well, because I get so excited. No. He goes, can you two move along?
Well, he's the funny thing is
like,
they're meeting and they grab the same drink, and she's like, I've never met somebody who's had the same drink order. And the barista's like, we get that all the time.
Well,
goodbye.
Then there's a constant like hitting of the heads. They like he drops something, they come up, smack heads. Then they hit heads again. It looks like they'd have headaches for days.
It's like a little too much. But again, it's playing on those like everyone's seen either a rom-com or a Hallmark movie where like it's too cheesy how they meet, and so it's perfect. So I love that it was playing off of that. Like, look, Tim, here, move your hand forward. Oh, oops. Oh, God. We're together. Like, they were playing off of that.
I got a boyfriend.
But she is just like, she's anti-love right now because she has recently broken up with a boyfriend and she can't help herself from looking at his Instagram. And now we all know that feeling.
Well, it was really funny because they really captured someone who just broke up with someone.
She's looking, and Tim and I, it's been a while for me, but I remember
it's been a while for me.
You constantly are looking at their social media because you want to see, and it just so happens
you just want to make sure they're dating someone ugly.
But he started dating someone, her ex, and so she's not happy about that.
And like she was dating a British guy.
Yes, the guy was British.
And she has a really, really fun best friend who was also at the coffee shop. And like, when you first saw her, we like, oh my God, she's going to die.
I thought so for sure. She's played by Gigi Zimbardo, and her big thing is that she has a sugar daddy who is really old.
And we never saw who he was, which is fine.
But it was funny. But anyway, so Allie, she has to make up for this awful campaign. And so her boss says, we brought in a freelancer who's going to help you. And what do you know? The freelancer's Mason Gooding. And she's pissed because she's like, I don't need help doing my job. And he's like Mr. Romantic. He's like, why don't we go out tonight and discuss it over dinner? And she's like, it's Valentine's Day. Like, no.
I mean, like, if you accidentally make it, like, Could you imagine how about the 14th? Like, can you not know your first dates on Valentine's Day?
Of course. But I think we're supposed to think that and we get to know Mason Gooding's character, Jay, is like, I think he's interested in her. And he's like, it's a perfect way that I can, two birds, one stone.
Right.
And she wants no part of Valentine's Day.
Did you ever think at any point that Mason Gooding was the killer?
Was gay. Yes, was gay. I was hoping. No. No, was the killer. Part of me did, but I thought since we have attack scenes with him in it, it would have to be him and someone.
Right. This movie, by the way, it's not low budget. It looks like a big budget, beautiful movie. And it actually reminded me of Scream. Did it remind you of Scream? In some ways.
Some ways, but I think this one went much further on the comedy than Scream.
Definitely. We should really, really say that it does feel like a rom-com.
Like Scream, yeah. And so no, not so much. But what I did like is that every time we'd get a slasher scene, it would jump back to a rom-com scene. Like after she finally reluctantly agrees to go on this date, her friend and her go shopping and they have a Pretty Woman montage.
That was funny.
They're trying on clothes. She's like, even though she doesn't care, she does kind of care.
Oh, and I she also has a metal straw, which I was yes. This is going to come into play in the last reel.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's right.
I think we all knew. Genius, Tim.
Listen.
Tim, I would have never known that.
I wanted to pat myself on the back and I was like, hey.
She keeps saying she's helping the environment there, and everyone's like, sure, girl. It was just funny. So finally,
I actually hate a soggy straw.
I do too, but I don't want to have a metal straw. I feel like it would get dirty and bacteria.
I don't have the luxury of carrying a purse.
You could have a purse.
I could wear a fanny pack.
That would go well with your outfits.
Thank you.
So anyway, Allie and Jay go to dinner, and first off, he's late, which rude. And but they have this really heated conversation there, which I have to say, she was really harsh with him. She finally says, I don't remember what they were talking about.
It was the only point of the movie where, excuse me, it was the only point in the movie where I thought it was a little too Dawson Creeky for me. It was so wordy, which I loved all of it. But at the same time, I was like, okay, this almost feels like an episode of The Real World.
Gilmore Girls.
Well, yeah, don't get me started.
It was like a full-on monologue against Valentine's Day and being she didn't like that he was just trying light and being happy, and she was not happy because she went through a breakup. And I will say though, it's another common rom-com trope where the two people, when they meet, it's never smooth sailing at the beginning. They have to have some sort of conflict, and so she's the down on love. I just hit my microphone. Down on love type of girl. And he's the romantic idealist. So what I think was so brilliant about especially the writing, and I keep saying the writing, and I'm not saying that just because we had Michael Kenny on the podcast. I'm saying it because I think the writing really stood out in this film in terms of they knew how to capture all those things that we associate with rom-coms and slashers, and they combined them.
It was such a good balance. But I just thought that scene in particular, I totally forgot I was watching a movie where people got killed.
But I will say,
which is fine.
The reason why I didn't agree with you about the Scream references, because Scream to me,
not exactly story-wise, just the look of the film.
Well, so Scream to me had a lot more focus on building suspense and scares. And this movie to me was a lot more comedy than horror. It had all the gore and the kills, but I was never scared.
I was shaken in my...
You were not. But that's okay. We've talked about this before. There are movies that we enjoy. Even Totally Killer was one of them where, you don't have to always be scared, but you're having fun and you're entertained. And that's good
goal.
enough. Yeah, that's good enough. So the thing is, it's funny is when they're leaving the restaurant, who shows up but her ex and his new girlfriend for Valentine's Day. So she grabs Mason Gooding and kisses him just to make him uncomfortable.
And then I was about to say starry eyes. Completely different
tell
film.
Everyone what that film is, because it's good.
Starry Eyes is a fantastic film about this girl that sells her soul to the devil
to get ahead in LA, right?
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Tim introduced me to this film, and I'm telling you guys, watch it. It's what year?
I would say a decade ago.
I was gonna say it's in the 2000s.
At least maybe. Oh my gosh, maybe 2014, 15.
I've only seen it once, and I remember it being dark.
It's dark. This movie's light.
Oh God,
it's very light.
light as a feather. No, because no, I'm telling you, like light as a feather. That's why, like, if you have friends who are like, I can't see that. That's like horror. You can bring your friends to Hard Eyes.
I actually don't like those friends. Like, oh, I'm scared.
Yeah, fuck those people. Oh, you said I hate you, and I said fuck those people. We're nice.
No, we're nice people. I'm just saying we're not going to drag you.
No, we're not.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. So she grabs him in to kiss, and then he's like. What I like is that he's like, oh, was that your ex? Like, he knew that she was doing it on purpose.
Right, I mean, because that's all you really want in front of your ex. Your ex.
In
front of your ex is to show that you've moved on, and you also want to show like how happy you are, and that is when people weaponize Instagram.
I have to ask you a question. Sure. Have you ever, and I feel like we all have, but have you ever purposely posted a picture with someone very good looking, knowing an ex would see it, even if you weren't dating them?
Well, I think the whole purpose of Instagram is to show people that you've moved on.
I mean, I
don't know.
So your answer is yes.
I'm answering that by not answering that.
I 100% have. Like when you know you're not dating the person, but you know that people will wonder.
I mean, first off, anyone that says they've never looked at their ex's Instagram is a effing liar.
Who would even claim that? Like, we all know.
I mean, what's the point of having social media?
No. And also,
anytime you post, you're thinking about your 5 exes.
Also, another thing about social media, anybody who says social media or their page is their full, truthful life is lying, because you're posting only the best moments of your life.
And you know what? This movie does capture that, because they're curating. I mean, at least, yeah, right?
Curating.
Like, yeah, they're like, they capture the lead girl constantly looking at her ex's Instagram.
Yeah.
That's relatable. Not to me, but to people.
She sees him with all of these pictures and things like that with this other girl, but like, you know that he's posting that probably for the same reason. But anyway, so she says that Mason Gooding's her boyfriend, but then they get in a cab and they're going home, and she's like, look, she even admits that she used him to make the ex jealous. And so she's going to go home, and you think that it's over, but oh no, she left her key up under her mat. And so Mason Gooding feels bad, and he jumps out of the cab and he said, I'll help you break into your apartment.
Yeah, which I thought that wouldn't be my go-to. I might call my landlord. I would never just be like, I'm going to take my fist
and break glass.
Never.
Oh my God. So he breaks the glass to get in.
I guess that makes him like a hero.
I will say what was funny is that like he was all acting like you don't know how to do it right. You don't know. And then he hurts himself to the point that he's bleeding.
Yeah, he gets a piece of glass literally in his
knuckle.
What's this called?
Knuckle.
Yeah, no, thank you.
What's this called? Knuckles.
Knuckle.
So she takes him upstairs. And
they do it.
And then they fuck. No. And it's like hardcore sex. I mean, like, we're seeing everything. No.
That is a lie.
That's a lie. It's very sweet. She ends up, we find out, what do you know, backstory. She knows how to get the glass out of his knuckles because she was going to nursing school.
And this is a twist because it's a horror movie. She doesn't like the sight of blood.
What do you know? Yeah, she doesn't like the sight of blood.
That was a good twist.
That's why she dropped out of nursing school.
Went to advertising.
But then, in a very Halloween 2018 move, she goes to the closet, opens the door, and who's in the closet?
Hard Eyes.
So he like kicks her aside, and there's this big attack scene between them. And I will say, it turns into a chase that goes outside. It was a
great chase.
It is, but he shoots the cab driver through the head with an arrow.
And it's a bummer because they actually established the Uber driver to be like a nice guy, and then he gets killed.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, he had 5 minutes. So he ends up chasing them, knocking Mason Gooding like the fuck out.
Yeah, like he hits like the back of his head, and you're like, oh, he's out. So like later on in the movie, he gets mad at her for leaving him, but like he literally was knocked out.
That's what I was saying. He was knocked out. Mad at her. She's running, and I will say this is one thing that was a little confusing for me. She randomly ends up at a merry-go-round that's dark and I think out of service. And
Hard Eyes apparently knows how to turn it on.
Well, what I will say is funny about this is I can almost imagine you're writing a scene and you want it to be a scary scene, and you have this idea in your head. It's like a merry-go-round scene, but it felt like I will say this, like, where did that merry-go-round come from in that town?
Like they have one in Central Park.
But I think it's because they're in the middle of a city, and then suddenly she runs maybe like 100.
I didn't question any of this. I just accepted it all because it was really the cool thing about horror films is like chase scenes can happen in cool places, and I thought a merry-go-round was it started going faster.
It's a great place, but like I'm just saying that it just showed up out of nowhere. But so I like this scene because like he turns it on, starts hunting her around the merry-go-round. She's able to get away, she's actually, I like that she's suddenly a really
like good fighter.
She is. She's able to kick him off the merry-go-round. Like she means business.
Were you the one that told me this film was not filmed in actual Seattle?
I read it was filmed in New Zealand. Now they're posing it as Seattle.
It looked like Seattle to me. I didn't question it.
And how many times have you been to Seattle?
Oh, 3 times.
Really?
Yes, I thought
you were going to say 0.
No, but New Zealand, never.
I have not been to New Zealand or Seattle. So
I might have been there 4 times.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't want to brag. Helping
the homeless.
Homeless. No. I was there on business.
Oh, really? What kind of business?
Oh, I think you know.
A marathon.
A marathon. No,
please.
No.
Oh, wait, what were you there for, Billy?
I was there with work.
Oh, with your boss.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you being so coy? You've talked about your work.
I don't want everyone to know.
Oh, please. Okay. Anyway, so she gets away and the cops come and we're introduced. We actually meet them earlier in the movie, but the 2 main cops in this movie are Devon Sawa and Jordana Brewster.
Fast and Furious, the faculty.
Yes. Now, and Final Destination. Now, their names in this movie are Hobbs and Shaw, and she makes like a little joke. Now, I didn't even know what Hobbs and Shaw was.
I thought it was a comic book.
I thought it was Calvin and Hobbes
Me too. I was like, oh, that's fun.
I looked it up. Apparently, it was a movie with The Rock and Jason Statham where they played 2 cops named Hobbs and Shaw. We missed that joke.
I thought it was Calvin and Hobbes, which is like a tiger and a little boy.
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, okay, that joke. Woo, to us.
No, but I mean, just because I'm old. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, so anyway, so they, the cops think that Mason Gooding is the killer because they found a ring at the winery that had his initials in it. And he's like, well, first off, I'm not married. And secondly, JS can be tons of people's emotions.
And it was also a nice little funny touch. Jordana Brewster was on the apps and like, she's like, oh, I got like a Tinder match.
Yeah, she's a cop, but she's like a thirsty cop. She's looking for love. And
which neither one of them need to be on any apps.
Well, we know them as Devon Sawa and Jordana Brewster.
Oh, I know them personally.
These 2 incredibly good-looking, charismatic people, but like their characters, I get
Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, even as cops in Heart Eyes, I don't think they'd be on apps.
Look, you know what? Even beautiful people need app help too.
Even beautiful people need beautiful people.
Beautiful people. Poo-poo. Anyway, so they have a scene. They take Mason Gooding and they like put him in an interrogation room and handcuff him to the table.
Which,
like,
I mean, I've never been interrogated, but is that a thing?
If you think you're dealing with a murder suspect, you would do that because you think they could be dangerous.
Oh, that's right.
And so Allie, like, obviously is not going to just let him go down. She's like, we were attacked by the killer. He's not the killer. So she's waiting for him. And then they have a very weird moment where we're introduced to an IT guy for no reason. And he asks Allie out. He's like, hey, I know this is random, but would you want to go out sometime? And she's like, no.
I just witnessed someone I almost was attempted murdered. Is that right?
Well, she says I was almost murdered. I was almost attempted murdered.
Is that proper?
No, it isn't. Oh. Someone attempted to murder me.
That's right.
She's like,
that's what I'm attempting to say.
Yeah, and you are not succeeding. No. She is like, yeah, I was almost killed, so no. But I will say, I did know at that moment, this guy obviously has to be involved because why would they introduce us? Would you think that?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, time and place is everything. Like,
in a horror movie, if you're introduced to a character, they're going to mean something to the plot. And so I knew that either he's going to be a killer or he will be killed.
Everything in a horror movie like this is a red herring because we don't know who's behind the heart eye mask.
Yes, but I'm like, if they're going to take the time to have him ask her out and he looks suspicious, he's got to be involved somehow.
It's like there's a killer emoji on the loose.
Killer emoji. But there's this funny like desk clerk at the police station who's like not really helping her much.
She's like, I'm doing a crossword and what's a 5-letter word for
female dog? And she's like, bitch.
I was like, clever.
And I was like, I know, I like that. And she's like, what did you call me? She's like, it's a female dog, bitch. And then I said, hey, Tim, bitch.
And which I thought was weird because Matt was like
doing a crossword puzzle.
Right, he wasn't doing a crossword and he was like 5 people away and I thought to myself, why are you calling me a bitch? I'm trying to watch Hard Eyes.
And it's like, and I don't see a crossword puzzle in your lap, so you just called me a bitch.
Yeah, and I was like, please pay attention to the movie.
And yeah, Tim's like, hey.
Yeah.
I did. Anyway, so we so Hard Eyes, big surprise, comes to the police station, brutally impales the desk clerk with a flagpole.
But that was an interesting kill.
I loved it. I thought that kill was so cool because like any impaling is just crazy, but a flagpole.
Did Laurie Strode, aka
H2O?
Yes,
of
okay.
course.
I was like, someone else has used this.
I was thinking the same
thing. Do you think
thing.
Michael Kennedy was like, he goes, let's get that flagpole in now.
No, but I will say one thing I know Michael Kennedy did on purpose because we had him on the show and he said how much he loves Scream 2 like me. One of the police officers, not Jordana Brewster or Devon Sawa, was named Chief Hartley, which is the same name as Louis Arquette's name, David Arquette's dad, in Scream 2, the older cop. Chief Hartley was his name. If you know Scream 2, you know that reference.
You are a nerd.
I'm a nerd. I love Scream 2, but so does Michael Kennedy. Like, I know I even turned to like our friend Hiko and I was like, that's a character from Scream 2. And Hiko was like, hey, shut up. No. Oh. Anyway, so desk clerk dead. And
yeah, I knew she was going to die.
And then we get this really, what I felt was a premature killing of Devon Sawa. He gets killed so early. And I was like, I want more Devon Sawa.
I actually thought Devon Sawa and Jordana Brewster were going to be the heart eye killers because, you know, in these films, there can be more than one killer.
Well, you were half right. Oh,
Matt just gave it away.
Devon Sawa gets, what happened to him?
He gets like a machete in his nuts.
I will say this. It reminded me of Friday the 13th Part 3, Tim. Come on.
In 3D.
Yes, the guy on his, walking on his hands.
Yes. What was his name of that? Andy.
Oh, yes.
She goes, Andy, I changed my mind about that beer.
Hey, Andy, you've gotten sliced in half. Give me that beer.
I hate when you don't answer.
And then she's looking at Fangoria.
What would you remember what was on the page? It was Godzilla. Blood. Neck.
Okay, who's the nerd now?
Still Matt.
Look. It is funny, like Friday the 13th nerd, Halloween, and Scream nerd. I've got to admit, Scream is.
I am in no part of this.
Tim, you're like, I'm just beautiful.
You're bold and beautiful.
So anyway, okay, so
I just have to say this. For anyone who's listened to us audio for 240 episodes,
you must
to now hear us like knowing there's a camera on us.
First, I'm wondering, like, either they're thinking these two guys are the most annoying people in the world, or these two guys are the most desirable people in the world.
Yeah.
Which one is it, Tim?
I mean, I hope the other one.
No, I mean, we are a little extra excited. I can tell Tim is very excited.
Just because I'm like, there's a camera on me.
Tim's like, oh my God, there's a camera.
I'm a deer in headlights.
Yeah. I feel a little more relaxed.
I'm fine.
Because I'm just like, I mean, camera, yes. I mean, I don't want to look like shit. But right. Anyway, so Devon Sawa dead. Jordana Brewster, they show her like she like picks up a gun and not shoots it and it's like holds it up against the killer, and then we get to a different scene and you're like, what happened to Jordana Brewster? And I will say that's when I was like, is she's
the killer because like if she's nowhere to be found, she's clearly wearing a heart eyes mask
or like working with someone, or so we're like that. And I was like, okay, this makes sense because we didn't see what happened to her, but obviously, and
the lead girl knew after getting up the merry-go-round that like they're like, we captured the heart eye killer, but she's like, not the one that just attacked me on the merry-go-round.
Yeah, exactly. So they get out of the police station and they go to a drive-in theater. Now, this was a well-done scene because the heart eyes killer is following them and goes and starts just slaughtering people at that.
Oh, did you? I mean, I've been sitting here the whole time, yes. But did you talk about how she got Mason Gooding out of jail?
Yes.
She got a gun and she has really bad shooting. So like she's like shooting the hard eyes killer, but she misses every time.
Oh yeah. And he's like, you're a horrible shot. Yeah. Which is funny because that's the thing. A lot of times in movies, you have someone with a gun who like suddenly is like the greatest shooter ever.
Like if you've seen Sleepwalkers, the guy that tried to shoot the mom monster, like he misses her like 1,000 times.
Yeah. So we go to this drive-in theater and first off, the hard eyes killer is going and just slaughtering people.
Which reminded me of Freddy versus Jason when Jason was walking through the cornfield.
Yes. And so they go and they're like, we got to lay low. Let's hide somewhere. So this actually was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. They go into the front seat of a van that they think is abandoned. And then they see these two people in the back of the van who are not only really high on something, but they proceed to have sex in the back of the van while Mason Gooding and Olivia Holt are in the front having this like deep conversation about love and their family life.
Yeah, it was very effective.
It was so well done. The one thing I will say is that I missed some of the dialogue between them because I kept listening for the like, sounds. Like it was really funny.
They actually could have gotten just a pinch more, but I still thought it was successful.
I was thinking it would be like this. It's like, Tim, I grew up in a household. Yeah. My dad died when I was young.
Listen, I'm not going to do sex noises.
Wow.
I'm not
good
at it.
To do sex noises.
I don't want to do it.
I'm not
Matt
good.
made me do it.
But it was really funny because it was like between very serious, like, so basically we just find out
and then they did a cool death scene, which kind of reminded me of Prom Night 1980. Like when the back of the van opens and the guy gets... How did he get killed in Prom Night? Was his throat slit?
Throat slit, yeah.
Okay, but this one goes a step further and he puts the whole knife through his...
Well, it's actually, it's a tire iron.
It's a tire iron, which they used in...
I don't
Sorority
know.
Row 2009.
Yes. So this scene is the one from the trailer. The killer bashes a tire iron in the guy, and then he pulls the girl's head down onto the tire iron, so it like puts a whole hole through her head. But before that, we do learn that the reason Allie is so like against love is because her dad died when he was young, and so her mom had it rough. And then Mason Gooding says that he's always been just like this big romantic, and he puts girls on a pedestal, and so they both are like opposites with love. And again, deep conversation, we're learning a lot. People are fucking in the back.
Oh my goodness.
But then they get killed by this tire iron, and then we get a big fight where basically the two leads face off against the killer.
Yeah, well, originally Mason Gooding was like, let's get out of here. And she's like, no, we've got to make sure this Heart Eyes is dead so he doesn't kill more people, which I was like, oh, this girl's like doing a good thing.
Now,
and
what would you have done?
Ran so fast.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's funny because they do get him and they end up, I forgot, oh yeah, he impales him, right?
And then they pull off the mask and it's no one we've seen in the movie. We're like, who's this?
So this is what I want to say because I want to talk about this moment. Like they pull off the mask and they don't recognize him and the audience doesn't recognize him. And at first I felt a little let down because I'm like, I want it to be a killer that we know. But then I thought, how unique would it have been? What if they had just ended the movie and you have no idea who the killer was, just some random person?
Well, it doesn't really fit the tone of this film because this was about a rom-com / horror film, but like it wasn't like the Blair Witch where they're like the man in the corner, like, did she die? Did she not die? You know what I mean? Like it wasn't open-ended like that.
but in the corner, you mean like I'm in the corner?
Yeah.
Watch it. Who sings that, Tim? Robin.
If you ever watch The Boogeyman from 1980, it sounds like that music. I'm not a good dancer unless I'm under the influence.
I'll never forget watching The Boogeyman because Tim's like, doesn't that music?
That sounds like Robin.
Sound like Robin. I'm like, it does.
If you watch The Boogeyman,
first off, you deserve money. We're talking the 1980 Boogeyman, not like the 25 others.
Who? There was a Boogeyman that starred the guy from Seventh Heaven,
Barry Watson.
Which, by the way, I think it's celebrated its 20th anniversary.
But did it say?
Don't make me dance.
Okay. Anyway, back to Hard Eyes. I would have thought that would have been unique, but I agree with Tim that wasn't the tone of this movie wasn't to be unique. It was literally copying tropes from these two types of movies, rom-com and slasher, and combining them. So you're right, it wouldn't have made sense if they just left it at that. So, but I will say this. So they think they're like, who's this killer? You dick. So Jordana Brewster, the cop, comes. Her hand's in a sling. She's like, hey, to Mason Gooding, do you need a ride home? And right away, I was like,
she's the killer.
Yeah, killer.
Also in the movie, I was like, maybe they're just going the route of like, she's a thirsty cop. I don't like to use the word thirsty. It doesn't roll off my tongue. But because in the movie, like she was kind of flirty with him when she was questioning him, right? A little bit.
Yes, she was very flirty. She thought he was hot, but she also was trying to be like she was trying to interrogate him, but flirt with him.
But clearly the leading lady of the movie had, she did like him, but she didn't quite know how to let him know. She's vulnerable.
She is.
So I love that he goes, she's not my type, to put her mind at ease.
Yes, so as he's turning, he's going to accept a ride home from Jordana Brewster, who we all know is the killer at this point, or one of the killers. And he turns to her and says that. But then we get, again, it switches back to rom-com because we get a scene of Allie at home feeling like, oh my God, he's going to fly home tonight. I got to say something.
Watching an old movie.
And her friend says, you got to stop him at the airport. And if you've ever watched a rom-com or the series finale of Friends, you know that
or 13 going on 30.
Classic airport, running to the airport to stop someone is a classic rom-com scene. So she goes to the airport and you think she's going to stop them and they'll have their big, like, is there the opposite of a meet cute, but like
it's like a
kiss cute?
Ending cute.
Couple up cute. Anyway.
Cute.
But she gets a call and it's the Hard Eyes killer using a voice changer, I guess.
I mean, it's very scream. Maybe that's what the scream part for me.
And it's like, I've got your boyfriend. Come to St. Valentine's Chapel.
Don't bring cops or he's dead. Don't do this or he's dead. Dead.
Don't take pictures on Instagram or he's dead. Don't look cute or he's dead.
No, I didn't see that.
She looked cute. She goes to this chapel. Going to the chapel.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking the chapel next to the Abbey.
Which is in West Hollywood, Tim's favorite gay area.
You know what? I'm putting a pause on this. I just went on a date. Speaking of hard eyes, and the person came from West Hollywood to the Valley. So we weren't a love match or anything because all he did was talk about, he's never going to watch this. So I can safely say all he did was talk about how he wanted to have sex with his physical therapist. The end.
And I told Tim, because Tim told me this, and I said, first off, that's so shitty to go on a date with someone and talk about how you want someone else because you're on a date. Like, hold it for a friend.
I didn't mind. He was a nice guy. And actually, by the end of the date, I was rooting for him. I was like, I hope you do get to hook up with your physical therapist.
Bizarre. Anyway, so she goes to the chapel. And we get the first reveal of one of the killers, and big surprise, it's the guy from IT who we were introduced to.
I think his name was David.
Yes, but this is a funny part because he takes out the mask and he looks at her. He's like, remember me? And she's like, no. He's like, the guy who asked you out at the police station? She's like, no. Like, she didn't remember him, but I thought that was funny.
I think that would be really memorable if right after I was about to be murdered, if someone asked me out on a date, that would stick in my mind.
But I think what made it funny was it almost mimicked what the audience was thinking, like, do we remember this guy? Like, because he was so a small part. So, But then who walks out but Jordana Brewster? They're both killers, and they're actually a married couple. And we find out that the killer they killed at the drive-in
was a throuple.
They say a throuple, but he was a fanboy of them and just like to help them out. And basically their whole reason for killing is it's like a kink or a fetish of theirs.
Right. What's your fetish?
Well, not killing. I will say,
really?
This was my question. What did you think of the motive and the reveal?
I knew it was Jordana Brewster. I didn't mind. A fetish kill. Okay. I mean, just because I was like, it's hard to think of killers in masks like having a huge motive.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was like, I was totally okay with this because I was like, they got me on board. I'm present. Like, they got me this far on the roller coaster. I'm not going to be like, oh, I hate it.
No, by no means.
Like, okay.
I think I was a little disappointed with the reveal in terms of not just because I knew who the killers probably were, but like just because it's a fetish. Like, I don't know. But in no way did that take away from any of the enjoyment of this movie or how much I enjoyed it or really would like recommend it. I think it's just one of those things that it wasn't my favorite aspect of the movie, like their motive. It was a little ridiculous, but at the same time, so was the tone of the movie. So it kind of fit in. So I will say to the people that think like, oh, this was too over the top or ridiculous. Well, that's what the point of the movie was.
It was in line with the rest of the film.
That's what I was going to say, in line with the rest of the film. So was it my favorite motive?
I really like the way Jordana Brewster really made it work because she was so committed to licking the guy's face, which I was like, ew.
They kiss because basically we find out that they're a married couple and that ring that was found at the scene was actually hers. Her initials are the same JS initials as of Mason Gooding.
Jason Simmons.
Her name is something Shaw. Jeanette Shaw, and he was Jay Simmons.
Jeanette from the Chipmunks. Do you remember Jeanette from the Chipmunks? Alvin and the Chipmunks. Jeanette. Wasn't there Jeanette?
And she was like the girl version of Simon.
Yes, there was Simon, Theodore, Alvin.
Yeah, and then
the girls was Brittany,
Jeanette, and
I'll never remember. Eleanor? Was it Eleanor?
Oh my God.
I was a big fan of that when I was a kid.
Okay, you win
the nerd. Out, because here we come. Ding, ding, ding,
oh my God. Okay. I've seen Tim with coffee, and I don't think I've seen him this spastic. You crazy. Deserve the nerd award.
Well, okay, I'll take it.
Look, here you go. Look.
With pride.
Okay, so you're right. Jordana Brewster was so committed and so amazing in this role as like crazy murdering lover over the top person. So anyway, they give Olivia Holt a gun and they say, and this is such a dumb thing to do. Like you don't give the victim a gun.
Well, there was one bullet six chances.
Well, they said either you have to kill yourself or kill Mason Gooding because let's see if you're really in love with him. And they said, and they keep saying, one thing we forgot to say is one joke throughout the movie is they keep saying, we're not a couple. Why are the killers going after us? They go after couples. We're not a couple. But then they say, we could see the chemistry between you guys. So that's why we went after you. So they're like, is she going to kill him or kill her? And I was like, well, she's probably going to kill him.
Okay, so I'm really glad we're talking about this movie right now. Because she does shoot and then she gets Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son,
Mason Gooding. Well, she shoots at what's her name? At oh my God, what Jordana Brewster.
So that bullet went through him into her?
I think
it was two people in one shot?
No, she wanted to just shoot Jordana Brewster, but because she's such a horrible shot, it like grazed Mason Gooding.
I thought
knocks him over. And at least that's what I thought. Knocks him over.
I thought it went through him and her. Do bullets do that?
I think, yes, bullets can, but I didn't get, who knows? I could be wrong. I thought it grazed him and went into her, but either way, she's like bleeding. And then they have the final fight where basically they do the girl versus girl and guy versus guy. I loved
it because they were like, you bitch.
Jordana Brewster faces off with Olivia Holt, and Jordana Brewster is in like great shape. She's kicking her, like high kicks, throwing her.
Again, I can't really overanalyze this, but also the other girl knew how to fight too.
Oh, yeah. She could hold her own. But so finally, she gets her in the most brutal of kills because she ends up getting her with, what was it? It was like a sword.
It was a statue. And didn't they just talk about a story about Valentine?
St. Valentine got beheaded and she ends up getting a knife into Jordana Brewster's throat. And they have the most prolonged decapitation scene I've ever seen because her head is like slowly separating from her body and then the body just falls to the ground.
Did it remind you of Wrong Turn when the girl got the shovel in her mouth and then like just this part of her like fell off?
Slightly, but this took so long in a good way. I've just never seen a decapitation that took that much time.
I love a good beheading.
And then Mason Gooding is fighting with the IT guy and he finally gets one of his it's like a little arrow thing and it goes through the guy's like face.
It was kind of like what they cut out of Friday the 13th Part 2 when the, what did he use to kill her? In like at the beginning of Friday the 13th Part 2, Adrian King.
Ice pick.
It was an ice pick. It looked like in the original deleted scene in Friday the 13th Part 2, it goes like this through her nose. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know it. I've seen the one where she goes like that.
Yeah, well, it kind of reminded me of that. I know it took me a long time to get there.
That was a long time for that reference.
I know.
But yes, it goes through his face, but he's not fully dead yet. I forget what does he shoot him finally?
Then he shoots him one more time.
Yeah, he shoots him at the end. So miraculously, they're able to kill all three hard eye killers. There are three killers. The couple and the fanboy. And then they finally, it ends and we get to a 1 year later scene.
Yes. And that boss with the accent, she's totally proud of them and loves them.
Well, apparently now Olivia Holt has been doing well at the company, but she's leaving her job to go back to med school. She's okay with blood now, apparently.
Well, after all that.
Yeah. And Mason Gooding and her go to celebrate. They're now together, of course. And they go back to the drive-in where the massacre occurred. And they even talk about, they're like, is it weird to celebrate our anniversary here where the slaughter happened? No.
And then he takes a box, usually for a ring, but there's a key in it.
And he's like, will you move in with me? And she's like, no, something better, basically. And she pulls out an actual ring and she proposes to him, Tim.
That was very romantic.
Get it? They switched the... Did you get
that? Right. Yeah.
And I will say, during that whole scene, were you just waiting for like a killer to come?
Yeah, and then like there was another twist where like her friend got it all on tape. Her coworker.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, was this when the killer comes? That was
like a little mid-credit scene. Basically, the credits start, and you think it's just going to end like a rom-com. And then in the mid-credits, she gets a phone call, and it's the Hard Eyes voice, but it's her friend joking, and she's like, hey, did you get that all on film? Did you get that on film?
I thought you said Hard Eyes.
Hard Eyes. And it's her friend saying, oh yeah, I got that on film. And again, I was waiting for something to happen.
I was like, one more twist.
But they didn't do it. But I think it's wise.
It's okay.
Because most horror movies would have a twist at the end. And I think then for that section, they want it to be more rom-com, So overall, what were your thoughts on Hard Eyes, Tim? I want everything.
I really did. And I always say this, I'm kind of a broken record, but the rewatchability factor of this film is high. I wouldn't mind going to see it again today.
I mean, I agree. I totally agree. I think that, look, like, there are my only issues with the movie were very minor, like little things like
Steve Miner,
like when, little things like the reveal or some of the ridiculousness. But all in all, it was just such a fun, smart, just well done film. Again, it's not your typical horror film where you're going to be scared and there's tons of suspense, but that's not what they were trying to make. They wanted to make a horror comedy that, combined a rom-com with a slasher. So it's literally like you're going to see a rom-com that just happens to have a killer involved. And I feel like they truly succeeded at that.
It was a really good balance. Like, I mean, maybe just one scene, like just when they were talking, I was like, because he was being so unbelievably nice to her and she was just shutting him down left and right. And I was like, I can't really relate to shutting down someone that's ridiculously good looking. I can't.
But what if they're an asshole?
That's a little easier.
Yeah, he was charming. He was great. But I just think that, again, I think the writing, the directing, the acting, like all of it, great. I think that if you have an issue with this movie, it's probably because...
You have no personality.
No, it's No. It's probably because you wanted maybe more horror and you were going into it thinking it was going to be just a slasher movie.
I mean,
and you're like,
it's not Terrifier.
But the thing is that what I'm saying is that, like, if you are looking for a horror comedy and you're going into a rom-com mixed with slasher, then I think you're really going to enjoy this. If you are looking at the previews and thinking, ooh, I want the next Michael Myers or Jason or Freddy, and that
they give you a form of that.
They do give you then a slasher killer.
They give you a mass killer, and what more do we really want?
But the tone is not as serious. And if you go in expecting that, you might be disappointed. With that said, don't go in expecting that. You know what I mean?
You know what? Just don't go expecting anything from anyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, asshole. No. Tim is very angry at people who don't like this. Yeah. No. I mean, this is like, it's a great, it's a fun movie. I just had so much fun. And that's the thing. Like, when was the last time you walked out of a movie, like, just with a horror movie, nonetheless, with a big smile on your face, being like, I was laughing out loud. I was enjoying it. The kills were great. The characters were great. Do I think it's going to be a franchise? I don't know.
I hope so.
It would be fun. I will say this.
I mean, you can go a lot of places with relationships because relationships are what make the world go around.
I think that the mask and the costume was iconic. Like, I would love to be the Hard Eyes Killer for Halloween.
It might be a little uncomfortable.
If I liked wearing masks, I couldn't wear that over me. Yeah,
it gets hot.
Too much. So, but the costume is cool. It's a cool look, and it's a cool motive in terms of killing on Valentine's Day couples. And every single person probably wants to kill couples on Valentine's Day anyway.
I don't want to kill couples,
you
but you're right.
You
know, if you end up dead,
it's Tim.
It's not me.
What if we were the Hard Eyes Killers, Tim?
We'd be so good at it.
So good.
We could kill people so good.
Oh my God, we're the best killers ever with an arrow. Well, we would know all the kills. And then I would be like, wait, and what else did they use? Oh, the tire iron.
Which, I love that. I don't know if they did a homage.
Yeah.
To Sorority Row 2009, but if they did, thank you.
Remember, you're talking about people like Chris Landon and Michael Kennedy who know all these horror movies.
I'm going to tell myself they did.
Well, anything you think was an homage probably was, because these are they're also fans of the genre. Like, we know this. These are fans, so they've seen the movies we've seen, and they're going to put those things into them.
And we saw him in the movie.
Yes. Oh, Michael Kennedy and director Josh Rubin had cameos. Kennedy.
I guess I didn't know what Josh Rubin looked like.
So Michael Kennedy was at the jewelry company, sitting near Olivia Holt when she's getting just blasted.
Advertising. He was wearing a cute sweater.
She's getting blasted for the campaign. And then Josh Rubin was the guy who, in the drive-in, as the killer's going around killing people, he yells, "Someone call 911." That was the director.
Oh, he did get a close-up.
Yeah, he got like a close-up. And I think, here's the thing. If I was directing this movie or writing it, I'd want a cameo too.
I wouldn't want a cameo. I'd be the whole movie, just like me.
I was gonna say, like Tim would write a movie about Tim, starring Tim.
Hey guys, I'm in a movie. And then I would just be like this for 2 hours.
It'd be Tim. Supporting cast, Tim.
Yeah.
Director, Tim.
Yeah.
Writer,
Tim. It'd be so good.
Oscar winner,
Tim.
Love interest, Tim. You're like, love interest, Mason Gooding.
Actually, he was good. I wouldn't mind.
I mean, I think he could play the love interest in anything, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
Oh, what? That he's hot.
Yeah. No. I thought there was such a likability of the two leads that I really I was going to be pissed if one of them suddenly got killed.
I was worried.
Don't do that to me.
I didn't want them to be killed or to be the killer, because I actually liked both of them and her friend. I loved her friend. I really wanted her friend to not be killed, and she wasn't, so she can be the sequel.
Yeah, no, they really captured what they were going for.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that is Hard Eyes. Even though it's going to be out after Valentine's Day, this is the kind of movie you're going to enjoy any time of year. But I can see this being
on Christmas Day.
Maybe not. This is going to be like an annual Valentine's Day watch for us, right? I can
totally
see that with all the others. And if you want to just go to a movie where you don't have to be worried that you're going to be like clenched up and scared and just
unless you're
fun.
Constipated.
If you're constipated, you're clenching something else. But if you don't have to worry about that. You can just have fun. Go see Hard Eyes.
Yeah, I think it's a good time.
Anyway, well, that's it. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll talk with you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after-show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.